Good morning. Good morning. I had myself on mute. So I'm going to invite Ashley in to talk to us a little bit about this, what trespass and orders mean for those that live on Mass and Cas. So if we can please start by sharing this live to your any Facebook groups, to your personal page. Please help us share this message because this is going to be a powerful conversation. For those that don't know who Ashley Tenzar is, she is the mother of Damien Hughes, who was brutally stabbed, murdered on Mass and Cass, right at the doorsteps of 112 Southampton Street, the shelter, literally next to the comfort station, on July 31st. And we want to make sure people hear this because I think that there's a lot of things that need to be addressed, and we're not hearing people that are closest to the pain on this issue, and why people like myself and our squad are going so hard on addressing this issue. Ashley, good morning.
Good morning. How are you? Can you hear me?
We can't hear you.
Wait a minute.
Yep, hit it again. Let's see. Can't unmute, guess they choose. You unmute yourself.
Mute myself?
Yep, there you go. We hear you. No, unmute again. There you go. Right. There you go.
That was already on there, though.
It's exactly. So, Ashley, can you introduce yourself to our viewers?
Sure. My name is Ashley Tenzar Curren, and I live in Roxbury in Eggleston Square, and I have for 15 years now. I live 6 in addition to South Boston. And my son Damien grew up in the suburbs because I'm an addict in recovery, and my son grew up with my parents in the suburbs. My son's a young Black man, and he got into drugs himself. So this is long story short, but I brought him out to Boston to get help because he wasn't getting help where he was, which was in the suburbs. And I brought him out here literally. When I can remember the train ride to go to something called Paths on Albany Street, which is run by the city of Boston. It's over on next to BMC. And there were I remember this was in 2017. I remember the sidewalk there. You had to literally be like, excuse me, like right in front. It was like being in a bad movie. And I remember thinking, why isn't anyone controlling traffic on these sidewalks and streets? So, he got some help, but not, it was awful, but that's another topic. But he was down on the mile, on and off for 2 years. And he gave me kind of a tutorial of it, which is very strange considering what happened. He showed me the tent. He showed me the other tent when that was built. He showed me the whole landscape of this area. And I was absolutely shocked. There were people in the street sleeping in the middle of the street. There were cops just sitting there watching it. There were, people obviously incredibly high, bothering people on sidewalks, and I didn't see any police officers enforcing any of that. And that's been, so my son, July 31st at 7:27 a.m., he was in the comfort station. there's a little area during the summer that's outside, and everyone was just sitting there having coffee, whatever, the staff. It wasn't a busy time of day. And yet, this man came along that the police themselves have described as very distinguishable and also banned, they said, from this shelter and most of the other shelters. Mm-hmm. And my son, he was yelling and screaming into the comfort station at the nurses, calling them all kinds of names. So my son simply just went up to him. It's on 3 different videos, including Homeland Security. Who knew they had a video running down there? And this man, he said, my son Damien, he said, come on, man, like, why are you yelling at them? They're not doing anything to you. He punched Damien, and Damien couldn't even get off the ground and to return a punch. And then he took out his knife and stabbed Damien in the neck. And Damien got up and walked out of the comfort area and said, I think I need an ambulance. And he collapsed right at the entrance. And I have just found out, and this was confirmed, that a man saw this whole thing play out, and he made sure Damien got help, and he took off after the guy. He was detained for over 3 hours because he saw the murder. He was literally put in handcuffs and put in a police car for 3 hours. I've confirmed that. Just because he didn't want to give a statement. He was afraid. I found out that this man, Cesar Valentin, has an incredibly long list of, if you type in his name, you'll see it. An incredibly long list of defaulting from violent crimes, prison, and clearly from everyone I've spoken to, he needed help. Now, Yahara, you've been down there, so you know the lay of the land. Yeah. And you know that at the entrance to the comfort station, there are 2 staff members, am I right? Sitting on stools. They're making sure people are washing their hands, and right? Yeah. So I'm like, why didn't they say, how did it get to that point? Why didn't they say to this man, you are not allowed to be here, you need to leave? And where were the police? My son laid there for 5 minutes. No police came out. No police came out to see what the ruckus was. Nobody responded. The paramedics responded within 3 minutes at 7:31. They were called at 7:27. They arrived at 7:31 with no police backup. So you explain that to me. And that is what's upsetting me now. I'm hearing about people that are protesting, that, we're being told that we're trying to get arrested. No, what we're trying to do is make sure that you don't get a knock at 8:47 a.m. in the morning by people that are going to tell you that your child is dead. That's what we're trying to do. That's what I'm trying to do down there. I don't know about you, Yahara. I'm assuming that's the case.
I'm there for the same reason. I'm there because, I had a sibling that was on the mile, and I know what that feels like. And I also, my family lives over there, and they're not safe.
No, they're not.
And the reality is that, us having this conversation, Ashley, we're tackling this issue on a multi-layered issue. You are a mother, you are a Curren addict, you had a child who was navigating addiction, who you were trying to step up as a parent and bring to a space to get your child help, the help that your child should have deserved and should have gotten. But there's so many red tape to get the access and the support. And I think that, kind of like when I called you this morning, I said, Ashley, like, I'm just so confused as to how some people some of our members are getting trespassing orders, but the person who brutally murdered your son, and we're going to say brutally.
Yeah, no, it was brutal.
He murdered your son. right?
It was a murder. It was the man is in jail, first degree murder, slam dunk. They've got him on like dead to rights. It was a blitz killing. He was 3 staff people had to have counseling and more clients because it was just calm, and then it wasn't, and it was awful. They said
Yeah.
so.
And again, but see, you even touched another part that we also forget when we're doing this work, right? Where, one, I want us to continue to reiterate the person who harmed Ashley's son was someone who was banned and
Yep.
issued a trespassing order from being in that location.
Yes.
And I want us to keep saying this. The person who harmed her son was
Yep.
someone who had a trespassing order and was banned from that location.
Right.
And was still in that location because, again, what we're trying to do as a group, because this is not a one-person show, right? Is that the person should have never been down there. But because there isn't enough attention and resources down there to not only protect the residents of Mass and Cass, because now we're finding out the individuals are residents of Mass and Cass, right? Because the more we're learning, you have to have a special ID. And like you said, you were the first one who told us about the perimeter in that area, that there is a perimeter the individuals know that they have to stay in. So individuals are residents of Mass and Cass. So there's not enough resources to protect individuals who are residents of Mass and Cass on methadone mile. Women are going missing constantly in that location. Women are being raped in that location. When we're down there, we're seeing women so incoherent that the first thing that comes to me as a woman, as a female, is, oh my goodness, they're going to take advantage of this woman being so incoherent. We've seen women being fondled and touched while we've been down there giving out food, right? So I just want people who are watching us and are viewing this broadcast to know that we're there because of things like this. Because Ashley's son should not be buried today at 7:27 in the morning time. That's not fair.
Nope.
That's not fair.
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Oh, okay. No, I didn't know if you could.
And
Yeah.
I don't know, Ashley. And how do you feel like about, because I know me and you speak often. How do you feel about the hypocrisy on this issue about trespassing orders?
I think it's very plain. It's clear as day. There's the haters of our group, right? There's people, even politicians, they're saying, they're causing too much trouble. They're this and that. And then there's people that, are saying that, we deserve these orders, whatever. What I'm saying is very simple. We are exposing methadone mile, and it's not pretty. It's not pretty. And it's coming into people's social media. It's flowing, the pictures, me. I think a year ago, I even put my son deceased on. It's coming and it's making them uncomfortable. Well, we're here to show you methadone mile, and we are doing so in a respectful way. Protesting is loud. I can't help that. I'm going to yell. My son died here. I'm going to yell. I'm going to yell as to why this happened. Okay. I can't do anything formal because the murder trial is going on right now. So I have to do it that way. If you don't like it, whatever. The police, and that's true. The police, the perimeter, the police are not there to help people like you were talking about. They're not here. They're not even there to help residents. And if you're a resident of a shelter, you're actually a resident of 112 Southampton Street,
Yeah.
which I also found out. So
Yeah.
you are not homeless. And the police have to serve everybody. How many police officers came out? It was the Wednesday before last. I stopped counting, right?
Yeah.
To keep us safe. What about every day? Where are they? We got them. We weren't even blocking traffic, but there's like 100 of them. Where are they every day protecting the people down there, protecting people going to appointments at Boston Medical Center? With children just walking down that street to get to another street, stepping on hypodermic needles, and people that are on methamphetamines, and that's become a huge, it's almost as big as opiates now. So you've got people on opiates and meth. They don't know what they're doing. So if they're mentally ill and then they're not on meds and they're on meth, you don't know what they're gonna do. A father of 5, me, I could be down there and I could punch someone, I could cut someone, and that's what's happening. We're exposing it. So I'm sorry if it's a little uncomfortable and it's not in your politicians. They want the pretty stuff or whatever, but it's not pretty.
It's
so
it's horrifying. And I know that we have people from our team who's always down there supporting other people's work. And the reality is that the South End Roxbury Community Partnership is literally one of the leading organizers of this work. We are the people trying to not just mobilize our community. We're trying to build statewide partnerships so that we can have a larger conversation on this issue, because we continue, when we're dealing with politicians, we continue saying, where's the shared responsibility? What is happening behind the scenes that we're working with other cities and towns throughout the Commonwealth of Massachusetts to help us alleviate the stressors of Boston? We're doing that at no cost. A lot of time away from our families, right? We're building statewide partnerships with bringing other people who have the lived experience, who are doing the work on mass and cast, literally passing out food, feeding the unhoused, helping them with toiletries, socks, all that. That's coming from on the ground people who are not signed up with the state on their state website as partners, or it's just everyday people. And majority of the people that are down there because they have their lived experience or lost someone on the mile or lost someone to overdose. Or parents who didn't know about mass and cast will always be known as methadone mile. Will come down there, right? And
it wasn't like that 20 years ago when I was there.
It's a different,
not even close.
It's a different group of people, Ashley. Like, my family's been over there for over 30 years, and we say it all the time. We're like, listen, the change is like a different set of. It's a different set of group of people. Like, more people that seem more aggressive, like compared to when I was, growing up in that area. The people now are more aggressive, and I'm not sure if it has to do with multiple different drugs. And addition to
no law enforcement,
or I don't even know, and when I talk to you, I get emotional because I know that in this process, you're still trying to show up. You're still trying to hold people to task to say, I should have never lost my son down here at 7:27 in the morning time at the doorsteps of the Southampton Shelter, literally at the comfort station.
That and that was what bothers me, is everyone's talking about the comfort station. I'm a recovering addict, and I used harm reduction, which, if anyone doesn't know, it's methadone maintenance, which is never discussed and is actually very successful. They call it methadone mile, but it has nothing to do with methadone. It just started that way because there's several clinics in the area.
Yeah, several.
Yeah, and that's a good thing. It is. They get counseling. They get, help with housing. It's the only treatment in the area. The only treatment. which is a whole other conversation. But I and so that's why I say, like, we can't dress this up. We can't say to politicians, here's what really this is. I was trying to think of this. We don't want politicians to fail. I want to work with them. I want them, like, Rachel Rollins. I loved her. I loved all the counselors that came on or do walkthroughs. We want this to work. The South End Roxbury Community Partnership, you have no idea how much work, and I'm going to throw it out there, this woman does. You don't know. You just don't know. She's very active in the Randolph school system. I mean, she's all over the place. Because this is the only formal group that does want to, they don't just, not just want to feed and clothe, and to make real policy, real programs, real, to support real leadership. That's what I'd much rather be sitting at a table with a bunch of whoever than standing and with a sign up, yelling.
Yeah. Yeah. The reality is, actually, nobody wants to be down there demonstrating, right? Because demonstrating is not as easy as some people make it seem, right? It looks easy because we're being so consistent at it out of so many groups, right? That we're being so consistent and publicizing this issue, although, there's other people that are doing their thing. I think that we're the only ones trying to say, listen, there's a problem here, this needs to be addressed. And, I think that we don't want to be down there. And like you said, we're not trying to build enemies. With politicians.
We're trying to build allies.
We're trying to say, guys, there's an issue. Yes. If you want to hear from the people who have lived experience, we have the group of people who you should be working with. We have the group of individuals who you should be funding to do the work down on Mass and Cass. We have people in the team who you should be hiring on your sharp team where they know where to find all the needles in our communities, right?
Exactly.
But nobody wants to hear that, though. Like, it just kind of feels like nobody wants to hear that. I think they some people cherry pick who they want to have conversations with, with divisive tactics and, etc. And we totally get it. We're not here because, again, we don't want to make enemies with nobody. We're just saying, listen, I want my mom safe. You wanted to be able to grow old with your son, right?
Yep.
So what we're saying is what's happening in that location needs a lot of attention and way more attention. That is what is happening there. And if we want to really talk about trespassing orders, let's keep it real, because we have someone in our team that can tell you that they don't even adhere to the trespassing orders in that location.
Not even close. They don't even give them. I'm sorry, I'm not laughing, but it is ridiculous to think that one person who goes to clothing drives, food drives, who pulls up his truck and he's got like 20 pounds of nice clothes, who's in the community knows this person. To send them a trespass order, it's like sending Jesus it's preposterous.
And Ashley, we've been met with a lot of resistance. We've been,
why?
We've been called everything besides a group of people who actually care. And just because we're calling out the issue, one, like Ashley said, I don't mean that we don't like you as a politician. That's not even true. Just because we're call blitzing and emailing does not mean that we don't like you and we don't think that you're not doing your job. We're just saying, listen, like, there's a crisis here and you guys are moving too slow. And, the summer's coming, right? This happened to your son in July. So it hasn't even been a year, Ashley. It's going on in a year. And I know that you're planning, a memorial service around that area, and
A
we're
bit
here.
of a block party, if you will.
Yes, and so we're going to be there for you.
That's
And if
because we want to bring some hope there.
Yep.
These people need treatment. They need people that are going to smile at them. I was
Yep.
just reading something. I think Justin from Mass Ave Project, he
Yep.
wrote about, it was a whole situation. It was a story, but he
Yep.
said that this man said, "Thank you for remembering my name." Because
Yep.
Justin said, "Hey, it's Keith or whatever, right?" The
Mm-hmm.
man was so happy that someone remembered his name. And that wreath that Leah, I think, had made
Yep.
for
Justin and Leah.
Valentine's
Yep.
Day, for our Valentine's Day drive, it said,
Yep.
"You are not invisible," because these people, they feel invisible.
Yep. Yep.
They're in this terrible place, and they feel. Imagine feeling invisible.
Yeah. And I'm glad you brought that up, because oftentimes people stay coming for us online. Oh, you guys are taking too many pictures. You guys are doing, videos.
No,
But when we talk
I'm
to the
taking
people
too
down
few.
there, some of the people actually appreciate what we're
Yeah,
doing, literally, because they don't want to be down there. They don't feel like nobody's paying attention. Sometimes some of these images are going to be very uncomfortable for you, and they're meant for just that. Because while many of us, and kind of like what we talked about last week, while it was pouring rain, we were down there in a pouring rain, literally.
yeah, I wasn't.
While we were able to get back in our car, turn on the heat, individuals on Mass and Cass, Methadone Mile, do not have heat, right? There's not enough room in the shelters for hundreds of people that are outside, because there's literally hundreds of people out there.
Yeah,
Right?
there's already they're overflowed. But do you think they're going to open up the Heinz Convention Center like they did with COVID?
Nope.
No.
And I want to show your page, Ashley, so people can follow your page.
Oh, that's me. That's my son.
Yep. So
that was only that was less than a year from when he died. That picture. He's going towards Cape Cod. We were at Cape Cod together.
This is beautiful. I love that picture.
He really, everyone says, "Oh, they were such a nice person," but he really was. He was like the Joker. He was goofy, and yes, he thought he had to sort of patrol his little area there. So he didn't like it when he was hearing vulgar words being said to women, I might add. Right? We're talking about trespassing. Mm-hmm. Where were the police? If he's screaming in all these vulgar words, which I happen to know he was, right? This man, say sorry, Valentin. Where was the police? Where was the trespass order people then? Yeah. I don't understand it. You're fighting us, and we're trying to work, and we're not going away. I'm not going away anyways.
Yeah. And you keep saying it, Ashley, and that's why we're here. And that's why I'm so happy you agreed to come and talk, because I think that if I can share your story every day, we're going to share your story every day.
Share it.
I think that people don't understand the magnitude of what's happening on Mass and Cass. Like, literally, like, guys, it's horrible when you have people, again, who are residents of Mass and Cass, who tell you that there are serial rapists down there.
Oh my God! The other day when I couldn't even find that on the news, except for 2 places. Can you explain that to people?
What?
The rape, the murder. There were women missing that the public was never told.
Yep, we'll look that up. Rapists on Methadone Mile. Let me look.
I read an article about it, but then it kind of disappeared.
Yep. Let's see. Methadone Mile. Well, actually, wow, this is one in November 17th. Let's see. I'm gonna share this one.
The U.S. Marshals.
Hold on.
Chase the guy down.
I'm gonna share this too. Listen, this is just one last year. I don't even know how we missed that one. So it looks like this is another one, guys. This one was done.
Another one. I'm sorry. This is the second one.
Yep. Well, this one was in 2019. Ashley, I didn't even know. So this is one case, right?
Yep.
Methamphetamine rape case closest to being dropped. I don't.
What a shock.
Let's see. Let me see right here, because all you got to do is literally hit Google. Suspect. Okay, look, another one. July. Suspect in 5 methadone rapes. Oh wow, Ashley, this is I didn't even wow, this is
If
interesting.
this happened on Newbury Street, it would be all over the news. It would be like breaking news on the hour,
Yep.
warning the public.
Yep.
I bet it didn't even make the news.
Yeah. Let's see. I mean, it looks like there's just ongoing issues down there.
Of course there is.
It's let's see, what was it? The Southie man rape. What is it? I can't remember the name of it. Let me see.
They stopped the chase because it was getting dangerous on
Oh,
Southampton Street, but the U.S. Marshals picked him up later on Southampton Street, I believe. This is recent.
yeah, the one from Southie, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Let me see.
People can look it up, but sometimes you won't even find things that you know are there, and you're like, I just saw this yesterday. Where'd it go?
Yeah.
And I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but where'd it go? I mean, what
But it's
sometimes.
it's the whole thing is horrifying. I think I'm gonna find it. Methadone rate. Okay, there's one for the drug trafficking, which we know happens.
And I love the police. I thank the police if we're talking police. I thank them all the time when I'm leaving.
Yep.
I'm leaving. If it says 5 to 7 p.m., I leave at 7 p.m.
Yep.
Right? And I thank them. I was talking to a female police officer 2 weeks ago, and she was so nice. She was like, she goes, I haven't been down here long. She said, but from what I've seen, it's just awful. She goes, I don't know why it's happening so close to, it's like you go one street and then over Mass Ave, and they don't tolerate it. So it's like, literally a perimeter.
Mm-hmm.
And the police have been told to back off.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Nope, this is the one in Southie. I think this is the one you were talking about that ended up on.
Yes, that's the guy.
Yeah, yeah.
When was that?
I think this was on the 24th. This one was.
So I don't remember seeing it on TV. Do you? Or my mom would call me if she saw it.
I think that a lot of these things like this, because they're so controversial, I don't think that they make like super major breaking news, right? And we know this because it just kind of sheds light on the ugly truth of what's happening, that not only is the community not safe in that location, the people who are residents and are unhoused and navigating addiction on Mass and Cass are also not safe. And we know this.
Or working in the stores, McDonald's, they got to go and come to work, right? They got to leave work. All these people that's why we're yelling, because we're in a hurry.
Yeah. And we don't have no more time to waste. That's the problem, is that, and when it starts getting warm, anybody who lives in that location knows that it's 10 times worse in that area over the summer.
It's going to be brutal this summer because people.
Go ahead, Ashley, talk about
homelessness, joblessness. It's going to be brutal down there. And you know what? You think this woman here, Yahara, wants to leave her 2 kids to go protest in the rain in the methadone mile? Like, really? No. She must be pretty passionate about it, and when you see people like that in the rain and it's cold or hot, maybe take a look. I know you're mad about traffic being backed up and stuff, but just take a look and see that is a human being representing probably multiple human beings. My husband died as a result of this disease. So, how many? I could name 10 people right now that overdosed in the last 5 years under the age of 30. So we're there because we want people. I would love it if the mayor just showed up. Wouldn't you?
Yeah. I mean,
we're like, make my century. I'd be so happy.
We would
So
love for them to
welcoming.
show up with us on Wednesdays. We're there. We're more.
Wednesdays,
We
5 to 7.
all the time. We're there 5 to 7, and and we're there because we need your help to really call the governor's office, to call
Right.
your city representative, you call your state representative, because it is important to address this issue. Even though if it does not impact you, we still need your help, right? Because at the end of the
Because it
day,
might someday,
these are human lives out there. These are our community. These are our communities. And, as Domingos and Leon say, that in that location, the voter turnout is super low. And so if we get all into the
Makes sense.
political part of this issue, which is not what this conversation is about, is that it's always interesting when there is low income communities, communities of color, and low voter turnout communities, that things like this impact these communities more than any other community. That tells you everything that you need to know about the systemic design of this issue. And that's what we're also trying to address without having to get super political, because you don't have to be a politician to know
No,
this.
that's what, yeah.
This is history. History continues to repeat itself. And then now we have the HIV outbreak again in that location.
It never went away.
Thank you.
There's just too much. There's so much else killing people. Like, tomorrow it'll be. But what's interesting about this area of right is that there's a level 1 trauma center right there, right? Mm-hmm. Entrance and exit from the artery that goes right through Boston. That's what makes me so angry, is that, like, this is what you want to see when people come to Boston? This is how you want people to remember, And like they put in Pine Street Housing got 200 something units from the hotel down there, which was the Hampton Inn, right? People used to go there when their relatives were sick. It was a hotel for the hospital, right? And now you can't just throw units of housing in. Talk about trespassing. You can't just throw units of housing in with no case management and no real oversight. And because people, my son included, when they come off the streets, they are almost it's almost like, I don't know, someone that's been in jail for 25 years and they come out of jail. Now they've got a soft bed and a big TV. It freaks them out. So they need time and love and caring and healing. Not just here's the keys to your new apartment, and that's not going to work for the homeless.
They need full wraparound services. They need visiting nurses,
yes,
social workers, case managers. To making sure that the person as a whole is stable.
Yes.
Because oftentimes, and I also noticed this, because I've had friends that navigated addiction and became clean and live on their own. These individuals are also expected to leave their homes, to attend a lot of these meetings, and which I think is awesome. But we also forgetting that there's a lot of in-home stuff that happens that people may not want to leave their home, because if they leave their home, they don't know what they're going to do, right? So there's so many issues to talk about on this. And I think that a lot of people don't understand that we're very well versed, more well versed than people think we are. We may not put it all out there, but we know some of this stuff, and
people don't like it. People don't like to hear the truth. I don't. If I said, Yahara, during this whole video, you had a giant orange spot on your cheek, right? You wouldn't want to hear that. It's hard to hear the truth. It's hard to see the truth. And a lot of times, I did it too. We just deny it. That's why I didn't know about the methadone vial. And that's why I pretty much, sent my son into what I thought was a treatment area. Because that's what it was in 1997. Not even close.
So we can end this like this. You said Damien grew up in the suburbs.
Yeah,
we have this conversation all the time. Do you see
Hmm.
any movement in the suburbs where Damien grew up with people advocating as equally as hard here in Boston, the harm reduction people? Do you see those same efforts happening in the suburbs where Damien grew up in to see if those communities can have a comfort station slash or safe injection site? Do you see those same efforts in mobilizing in your mom's community on this issue?
We even have Spectrum Addiction Services. Okay, I worked there at one point in 1994, and it's got a house, it's got acute treatment, it's got all of it, right? Well, guess where most of those people are from that come to Westboro to that treatment facility? They're coming from Boston. They have a shuttle that picks them up on Route 9, a certain area. And I worked there, so I know. I did admissions there, and I know where they're coming from. And they're not coming from the suburbs. They're coming from the cities that are overflowing, even back then. There were 4 people on the Rotary in Westboro last weekend with Black Lives Matter signs, which I thought was laudable. That's it's hard to stand up there, but no, that's it. That's it. And I've raised holy hell. I've screamed at anyone that will listen that your kid doesn't have to be a troublemaker or whatever to end up here down there. Nobody's listening. I'm going to make them listen sooner or later, though, but I'm just getting started.
That's right. So do you think that, and I see this here because in my community last year, the year before, about 2 years ago, we had like 2 overdoses literally back to back, one at the Dunkin' Donuts
Yeah.
and one at Wendy's, literally. And where I live at, there isn't like an overflow of community, community centers for our youth to be in. So a lot of the kids in my community kind of hang out at the McDonald's, hang out at the Wendy's. Burger King was really the spot back in the days, but they closed Burger King. So the kids here in my community, in my town, they hang out at the fast food places, right? Because that's where they meet up. Center of town, they can all kind of walk there, whatever, because it's not like we have buses galore. So
that's another problem.
About 2 years ago, there's like, I don't know if it was a sober home. There was like literally at the town line of Randolph and the other community. And let me tell you, people were having complete nutties, literally. Like people were so upset at my community. Yep. They were like, heck no, we won't go type of thing.
Yep.
And everyone kind of started talking about the devaluing of their properties. And, if there isn't no plan, I was one of the only few people that were like, listen, if they can put this under control and they have the infrastructure to do it, let's help people. Like, help is help. But you've seen the side of why this is not happening in the suburban America.
Being flat ignored. Literally flat ignored. I've put my words and my face out there to talk to people. Nobody. They'll talk to me about Damien, but they will not talk about addiction or their children and I'll just end with this. Damien grew up next to $1 million home in these neighborhoods where, wealthy people. And I remember this little kid, Joe, they used to play all the time and they were running around and he overdosed. Damien and him actually smoked pot together, then they moved on. And in Westboro High School, we're shooting heroin. Talk to a parent in Westboro High School, they don't think that's happening, okay? So he overdosed, this young man. He was 22, right? My son cried like you wouldn't even believe. This was in 2018, okay? And everyone said, Damien, we don't want to lose you. We, this and that. His mother, talked to him. Guess where my son is right now? They're neighbors in the cemetery. Imagine that. These are 2 people that came from wealthy communities that needed help, but the community didn't provide any help, right? And now they're literally 2 rows apart. I can see his grave from Damien's grave. if that doesn't tell you anything, then I don't want it to be anyone else's kid. So I'm yelling. So that's it. I'm yelling. I'm sorry, but
You're not yelling. You're being honest. And I
yeah,
think
well, I'm trying to save other people's kids, but it's like they're not listening out in the suburbs. They think, oh, we'll take it into our hands if it happens, right?
they take it into their hands by bringing people to Boston, where oftentimes individuals become even more stuck because there isn't enough
I
beds.
did.
That there isn't enough beds. There's only so many people that can be in these programs, especially now with COVID, with the
Yep.
social distancing and all these things. So even the resources are even 10 times even more harder to attain, right? But again, Ashley, you kept it all the way real. You said the suburbs don't have the infrastructure. They don't want to own this in their backyards, right?
No.
We know that although people don't want to speak about it, but we also know the underlying issue here, Ashley, is that $1 million homes they're not going to want what's happening in the South End right now, because
No.
even if you live in the South End and you live in a $1 million brownstone, newsflash is that you sell your $1 million brownstone, it's probably worth $600,000-$700,000 right now. And I'm just being thrown numbers.
Right.
I'm not a real estate agent,
Right.
so just whatever. But your property is so devalued, and I think that this is another issue why the suburb here in Massachusetts don't want to deal with that. So then Boston.
Well, they have cemetery plots. Those are expensive. No, I'm not being funny. They're expensive.
And that's true. That's very, very true.
So, if you're worried about your property or your whatever, take in someone else's kid, because guess what? Someone else might take in yours, someday.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or at least sit down and talk to someone. If there was a homeless guy in Dunkin' Donuts at my mother's the other day. I sat down with him. He had a service dog. He had an unbelievable story. He was a veteran. He was hitchhiking. There he is in this community, and nobody would talk to him. Yeah. He was invisible.
Yep. Yeah. Because here in good old America, if you don't walk around like you have money and you don't have these fancy degrees and your resume isn't long, you don't matter. Poor people don't matter. Homeless people don't matter. Meanwhile,
a lot of them aren't even homeless. They actually live at shelters.
Yeah.
112 Southampton. You can have that as a,
yeah. So Ashley, I don't know if there's anything you want to close us out with, specifically around this hypocrisy on trespassing orders.
In COVID and all of this, all we're trying to do is hand out some clothes, and really we use those opportunities, if I'm right, to outreach with people. That's what we're doing. We're not down there trying to. They looked at me like I was nuts when I walked into the tent area with a box of trash. I was just picking up trash. And the guy's like, well, why are you here? I'm like, isn't it obvious? I have a box and there's some trash in it. We're not fighting people. I'm not there to do an in-depth covering on why I'm picking up trash on Saturday. We're just trying to help. We're not trying to hurt. So please help us. I'm saying it. Please help us in any way that you can. So, and thank you, Yahara. This group dies, I'm telling you. Wow.
Yeah. We ain't going nowhere no time soon.
No.
We got a lot of work to do. And we know that this work is difficult. So a huge shout out to those have been super consistent. So I know Stephanie's on. Stephanie just joined us recently.
Yeah, I saw that. Hey, Steph.
Yep. Thank you, Stephanie.
And please call your governor, please, and just say, don't give trespass. Call the mayor, call the whoever. Please call 311 and say, please don't give trespass orders to outreach workers. to people that are just trying to communicate with other people and do good things, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And
Please.
also if and furthermore, don't be hypocrites on these trespassing orders, because
Mm,
the community members who are impacted, the businesses that are impacted, the staff members that work in that location, including the police officers, they can't
yes.
issue trespassing orders to individuals that are breaking into our vehicles, that are breaking into our
Yep.
homes,
Right.
that are, defecating on our doorsteps, that are engaging in lewd acts on our doorsteps, that are
Drug deals
themselves or doing plain in sight, right in your face, drug dealing.
in front of the cops.
And if we're going,
Heroin is a Class A felony. Possession of heroin. It's a Class A felony. That's jail time.
yeah, yeah,
And I don't want them to go to jail, but I also don't want to see my friends that are just trying to do something good have something on their record like that.
yeah.
So
I want to say a huge shout out and love to the squad. Stephanie,
hi
Domingo,
everybody. Yep,
Dave,
the whole list.
the X, Benny, Will,
Justin,
yeah,
Leah,
Justin, Leon, Nancy.
Leon.
Please know that the squad consists of multiple different people, not necessarily, we all may not see eye to eye on everything as far as, our perspectives politically on certain things, but we are unified as far as saying people
Enough is enough.
should have better access to equitable resources to truly get clean and know that recovery is possible. People just have to care.
I'm here.
Have
Possible.
to care. Yeah. Megan, thank you for watching. Please
Yeah,
help.
I saw. I'm not good at this stuff, so let me see. I can't read.
I don't know nothing about the Zoom. She be calling me like, Jahira. I'm gonna send you a video.
No, it's because I got a new phone. Fancy pants.
I love you.
I'm good at this stuff now.
Yes, you are, because I know when we met you last year. But let me tell you, she's the force to be reckoned with, y'all. This mama is coming. She's coming. Ashley, from the time that we met her last year to now, we're like, oh, she's not playing no more games. Ashley's like, listen, all I needed was some people who's gonna be down with me, and that's that.
That's it.
Back.
I went online and I saw this, and then when I went to the protest, I saw this crazy Latino girl in the middle of the intersection screaming at the top of her lungs. I don't know who she was. I forget. And she became my friend. And that's another thing. If you're not working, you're even if you're homeless, whatever, you want to join us, you'll have a family for life.
Yeah.
So,
but guys, thank you for watching, and we'll end with this. The real pandemic, as my mom would say. So huge shout out to Maria on this. I need to probably get this trademark. But like my mom will say, the real pandemic is political hypocrisy.
We got to get that on a sign somewhere.
And I think I'm going to get a shirt made with that. The real pandemic is political hypocrisy. People are dying on mass and cast, y'all. Women are being raped on mass and cast. The community's not safe. The businesses are losing. And if we're going to talk about trespassing orders, make sure that those who are committing all forms of crime are issued trespassing orders too. Because Ashley's son should be here with us today if a trespassing order and a banned order would really adhere to.
If the staff had said, oh, wait, no, he that guy with a mullet, the guy is like playing his day. You can tell who he is. And he was only like 200 feet away from two staff people.
Yeah.
So.
Let's see. All right, guys.
All right.
Guys, later.
Bye, everybody. Let me go have my coffee.
I
Bye.
know, right? I need a coffee too. Bye. All right, guys. See you later.